Bansou Sentai, Kizunager Generations, The Green Ranger, and the New World War. The special begins at what appears to be a hellish ruin just until the troopers, both human and demi-human, open fire on the Russians who, in a pinch, begin to activate animal-like powers, acting like savage beasts to kill their enemies, who are shocked that the Russians somehow obtain those instincts the demi-humans have. But how is this possible? The Russians are too powerful than the good side, which forces the surviving troops to retreat. They head back to the Avalost Castle's throne room where they inform the New World Army's commanding general, Shuji, about their encounter against the Russians, making him to wonder why would that country, part of the USSR that was disbanded 35 years ago in 1991, be so obsessed with demi-humans since they're created by eating a mana seed produced by the Demon Queen. Logi and Teltina, King and Queen of Avalost Empire, who are having a conversation with Shuji, are horrified upon this news, as Teltina, a demi-human, says she doesn't want to see more violence of humans and demi-humans fight each other, resulting the outcome of bloodshed and death, so she wants to serve Shuji and the NWA for high hopes of uncover the Russians' intentions, preventing this war and fixing the bonds around the New World. Although Logi refuses at first for the sake of his beloved princess, but since she's now queen with Logi as king after her father Emperor Goddess's death, he changes his mind to go with Teltina as her bodyguard and the NWA's captain against the Russians if they do something harm to her. However, Teltina will also be wearing her captain uniform and armor to help Logi, as she already knows how to watch herself and fight against any enemy, back when against the Demon Queen and later becoming Kizuna Rise against the Bansouenders, which Logi can relate to that. Luckily, the Kizunagers Togo, Nagale, Emily, Tsukasa, Tenri, Hyohiro, Renaya, Azir, and Yidra, along with Kizuna Crimson's Shuichi Ichigami and Kizuna Cobalt's Sumika Shindo, in their soldier uniforms, also wanted to join the army to fix that bond and prevent the violence the Russians have caused. Shuji agrees on his friend's words, but tells them they cannot become Kizunagers as their powers would kill the Russians, prompting the team to leave their Kizuna braces and bond plates behind. Just then the winged demi-human Yolte enters the throne room and tells his boyfriend Shuji to return home once the Russians are down, which the Green Ranger of Unity promises to his crush as they give each other hugs and kisses, which disgusts most of the Kizunagers acting like kids, before the 14 Kizunagers head out to get the NWA prepared, leading the charge against the Russians. Meanwhile, inside the Grand Kremlin Palace in Russia, the scientist enters the president's office to inform him, calling him Brother Koral, that the substance on turning normal humans into demi-humans was a success, much to the president's delight, as he tells the scientist, the younger brother named Uchon, that it won't be long now that the super-powered humans will execute every week on this so-called New World, as he commands Uchon to create more substance via every demi-human they have captured to gather their DNA samples. Days later at the Russian shore, the nation army's Captain Kapin, Koral's younger brother and Uchon's big brother, is leading the soldiers to war against the NWA, who are approaching the shore in their boats, where Shuji gives a speech to his soldiers that while they may have defeated the Russians back in Avalost in Japan, they are now taking the final battle in their enemy's country, telling them even if the good side get killed or survived in battle, they still formed a bond of unwavering solidarity that leads them to victory of peace and friendship related against the Zetsuenders, Demon Queen, Undead King, and the Bansouenders, as he salutes them to always fight for their country, their friends by every race including demi-humans, and the new world that connects the bonds of two worlds. The boats arrive at the shore where the battle has begun, as Shuji is heading to the Grand Kremlin Palace with his backups Togo, Emily, Tenri, and Azir. Kapin and his army have defeated most of the NWA soldiers thanks to the demi-humans' power. However, Nagale, Tsukasa, Hyohiro, Logi, Renaya, Teltina, Yidra, Shuichi and Sumika stand strong to knock out the Russian soldiers until Kapin uses his blunderbuss to shoot at Nagale, Tsukasa, Yidra and Sumika to their death, prompting Hyohiro, Renaya and Shuichi to attack the captain, but were also killed by him, who activate his demi-human powers of a lion, leaving the king and queen left, using their swords to block his claw attacks. However, were no match against him, who aims to kill Teltina, but Logi sacrifices himself to save his beloved girlfriend, making her in tears as she unleashes her wolf instincts as a half-demon to knock out Kapin in a physical feral fight. However, with many injuries and bloodshed from him, Teltina dies as well. After battling through a lot of demi-human Russian soldiers, The 5 Kizunagers arrived at the Grand Kremlin Palace but were confronted by Uchon, who reveals his scientific experiment of turning everyone into demi-humans by kidnapping and researching their DNA to become powerful beings then weak humans, which the 5 Bond Rangers will not let him and the president do as they pleased, making Uchon to activate his demi-human powers from the substance he took, acting like a king cobra to attack and poison the 5. However, Emily and Azir will take care of him while Shuji with Togo and Tenri head inside the palace to confront the president. However, after they left, as the two managed to take down Uchon, Emily and Azir got poisoned from his fangs and they too died. The 3 enter the palace and were heading to the president's office to confront him. However, were confronted by the securities who activate their demi-human powers to attack the 3. Although Togo and Tenri stay behind as they took down all of the demi-humans, but yet again get killed by their attacks, as Tenri's predictions were correct, but Togo says if she dies again then he dies with her. Now becoming the only NWA member to prevent the war, Shuji breaks into the office to confront the President Coral, who reveals his backstory on how he's obsessed with demi-humans. After the new world was formed thanks to Shuji and the Kizunagers, every human has gotten along with the demi-humans as really good friends, but for Coral, he sees them as powerful savage beings and the strongest than the normal and weak people the earth has. And since the woods where the mana tree is, it became a no-entry place to visit under the new king and queen of Avalost's orders, he tells the president of Russia along with the government to kidnap and gather DNA samples of demi-humans to give the people those savage powers, however gets denied by them as cruel. But this didn't stop him as he unleashed his demi-human instincts, eating a mana seed he found at the mana tree before one day later closed, to overthrow the president and take control of the nation's government and military to kidnap and gather samples from every demi-human to create a substance that gives normal humans demi-human powers, ending his flashback and speech to proclaim that he, Koral Jestoki, will get rid of the weak who don't want to become demi-humans so that the strong can prevail and live on forever. Shuji talks back that normal people aren't weak, they are special that the earth gives birth to, creating bonds and becoming good human beings they're meant to be without powers, like Shuji, and that Coral shouldn't use demi-humans as tools to extinct every normal on this planet just to obtain that power. Angered but grinning menacingly, Coral asks Shuji if that would be true in the future, as he then activates his demi-human instincts of a crocodile to attack Shuji outside of the palace, making the latter to fight back using every weapon he brought along to knock him out but failed. After beating Shuji to the ground by calling that prediction false and stupid, Coral reveals that he is the one who uses the demi-human's power to kill Shuji's parents, Deku and Megi, when they attempt to stop Coral from using his plan going too far. This makes Shuji shocked and horrified by this, making him unmovable, giving Coral the chance to kill Shuji, however gets attacked by Kizuna Green, but female version, who she will not let. Coral killed his boyfriend that he engaged to her before the war started, which makes Shuji surprised to find out that the female Kizuna Green is actually Yolte, who reveals she was afraid to see Shuji killed in battle, so she became a NWA soldier as a disguise to follow Shuji in secret to make sure he is alright. But when he was about to get killed by Coral, Yolte used his Kizuna brace and green bond plate she brought to transform into that Green Ranger to protect her boyfriend, as she introduces herself as modeling an unstoppable, the warrior of Harder Union, Kizuna Noble. Intrigued by this, Coral attacks Kizuna Noble, who uses Gorilla Knuckles to block and fight back, performing the Noble Kong Punch, defeating Coral for good as Noble happily reunites and hugs Shuji that the war is over and get to be together again, making Shuji amazed and proud. Just then, Noble gets chomped and beaten severely by the surviving Coral, who has evolved his demi-human instincts to a new level, transforming her into Yolte, making Shuji in horror as he rushes to her body, where she gives her final speech to Shuji, remembering the diamond engagement ring he gave to her to get married, as diamonds are the hardest gems that could never be broken, which resembles the bonds of humans and demi-humans alike when the earth and another world were fused into new world, representing that unbreakable friendship Shuji got the ring for and why he is called the Warrior of Unity, as Yolte tells him that he's the only diamond in this war to prevent Coral and to make sure the former doesn't get shattered against the president, which Shuji promises before she then loses unconscious as she is pronounced dead, as Shuji is in tears and gives her one last kiss before taking back his Kizuna brace and bond plate to confront Coral, who, now renamed as Croco King Rule, mocks Shuji that his girlfriend didn't see that coming and that it's hopeless to go up against the all-powerful demi-human who will conquer the new world by superpowered beings. Although Shuji talks back again that Coral will pay for the casualties and destruction he has caused around the new world, shattering its people like wheat gems, but announces that he, Shuji, is the only diamond that could stop Koral's plan as a way of never losing hope, serving the country's dream like his parents did before him to carry on that legacy and never have vengeance on those who killed the important people he loves. As Shuji then transforms into Kizuna Green, however, in response to his speech, upgrades his suit and his plate as the General Bond plate, much to Koral's surprise, as Shuji introduces himself as shattered and unstoppable, the warrior of strongest reunited. Kizuna General. In response to the Super Green Ranger introduction, Koral and General clashed to determine the fate of the new world, as General uses physical combat and 4 weapons based on a diamond sword, diamond shield, diamond gatling, and diamond knuckle to take the upper advantage on weakening Koral, who is shocked and angered that he can't beat the Green Ranger who have obtained that much strength against a demi-human like Koral, who ends up getting defeated to the ground as he tries to get up. However, Shuji brings in the turbo huddle in its alpha formation attached on his waist to launch towards and grabbing Koral off the ground to take him high in the dark clouded sky. Before sending him down to the ground like a missile, Shuji gives his final speech after finding out that by using his finisher as General would kill himself, that he's leaving the fate of the new world in the hands of those who want to become like him and Kizunagers of never losing hope in obtaining their own dreams, that this planet deserves to have peace, if the good guys win or lose, before he then shouts his finisher, Diamond General Bomber. This results in a big explosion and a mushroom cloud that can be heard around Russia and other continents. Before his dying breath now transformed, Shuji manages to crawl over to Koral and put him in handcuffs, arresting the cruel president for good that the Allies' side have won the New World War. Before Shuji gives out his final salute as a message to God on helping everyone continue the quality of hope and re-obtained peace without the Kizunagers around, as he then dies, causing the scene to go black. The ending credits start to play, zooming out the screen to reveal the Kizunagers watching the credits in the movie theater. As it turns out that the New World War event was actually created as a movie with the Kizunagers, Yolte, and several people played as actors, with the Gestoki brothers created as fictional characters, with most of them in tears on seeing this emotional drama where Shuji is the star of this feature presentation, as the team and friends thank the movie's director, stuntman and producer George Spielberg from Akibaranger Season Suu for creating the film that inspires people to never lose hope. As this film will be shown in movie festivals for the people of New World to experience, this story ends with Shuji and Yolte still engaged to get married while the Kizunagers are continuing to protect the people's bond energy from falling into the wrong hands whenever upcoming enemies strike.